The Supreme Court has declared that it is unconstitutional for state governors to hold funds allocated to government administrations. It's lead read by Justice Emmanuel Agim. The Apex Court said the following government election by the Ondo State Independent Electoral Commission, the governor of Ondo State, Lucky Ayedatiwa, has constituted transition committees for the 18th. The transition committees are to oversee the affairs of the local government and the local council development areas in the state until the local government election is held by the electoral body. Each council has 7 members, making a total of 159 across the local government areas and the local council development areas. Meanwhile, the state government is currently examining the concerns raised by some communities over the delineation carried out during the creation of the LCDAs with a view to making the necessary amendments. According to a statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Prince Ebenezer Adeniyo, the appointments take immediate effect. Ondo State Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa says presentation of 25 Hilux vehicles to security agencies in the state to assist in the discharge of their duties is a testament to his administration's commitment to strengthen the security architecture of the state. Governor Ayedatiwa at the presentation ceremony in Akure acknowledged the efforts of late Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu to secure the state, especially its leading role in the birth of the Southwest Security Network, Amotekun Corps. Ayedatiwa emphasized the need for all security stakeholders and state actors to work together for the ultimate goals of securing lives and property of the state, notwithstanding the differences in security approaches and modus operandi. Wahab Ankole has more on the story.
The most important function of any government is to ensure the safety of lives and property of the people towards promoting overall growth and development. And this event, which is the presentation of 25 Toyota Hilux vehicles to security agencies in Ondo State, is a testament to the commitment of the Ayedatiwa administration to further strengthen the security architecture of the state.
I welcome into the arena the governor of Ondo State, His Excellency Lucky Orimiso Ayedatiwa.
In his address of welcome, the Secretary to the State Government, Mr. Tayo Oluwatuyi, emphasized the commitment of the present administration to enhancing the efficiency of security agencies in the state.
Insecurity has become a recurring problem that threatens the well-being of citizens. However, It is my pleasure to let you know that the present government will not relent in its resolve to rid the state of crimes.
Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, who renewed his determination to rid the state of crime, said his administration will not shirk its responsibility of protecting the lives and property of inhabitants of the state.
This government, under my leadership, thought it imperative to make available these high-grade Toyota Hilux vehicles with a view to engendering excellent performance in the discharge of their security mandate to our people. We will not relent in creating a secure and prosperous environment for all of you.
The governor, who called for more synergy among all security agencies in the state, said his administration will always strive to provide safe, conducive and crime-free environment towards promoting economic growth and well-being of the people.
I want to say emphatically that our administration will continue to support the security agencies in the discharge of their duties as we place premium on the safety of lives and property of our people.
High point of the event was the official presentation of the 25 Hilux vehicles to security agencies in the state.
In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
The Senior Special Assistant to Governor Aiyedatiwa on Security, Mr. Gbenga Atiba, and the State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Abayomi Oladipo, thanked Governor Aiyedatiwa for his dedication to improve the security architecture of the state. In an interview, the State Commandant of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Oluyemi Ibiloye, applauded the governor for the giant stride.
We intend to deploy these vehicles to also curb all forms of security menace that we have within and around the state.
Wahab Bankole, Osrc News.
Promoting tertiary education in Nigeria, the federal government has been commended for making the Tertiary Education Trust Fund's capital expenditure available to tertiary institutions in the country. Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, while receiving the House of Representatives Committee on TED Fund at his office in Akure, said the impacts of the intervention is enormous. Aiyedatiwa will reaffirm his administration's commitment to education development at all levels, hailed President Bola Tinubu for advancing the sector. Government House correspondent Wahab Bankole has details.
Members of the House of Representatives Technical Committee on Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, were led to the governor's office by the chairman, Princess Miriam Onoha. The visitors applauded the present administration in the state for its strides to advance tertiary education. Princess Onoha said the committee is determined to assist states to access the 500 billion naira domicile fund to improve funding of the sector.
TED Fund projects are always tied to these 12 lines of interventions, which I'll read out shortly. Physical infrastructure, entrepreneurship, project maintenance, ICT support, library development, academic staff training and development, institution-based research, publication of journal, conference attendance, manuscript development, equipment fabrication, and teaching practice. So these funds here, once committed to a particular line item, has to be in strict compliance to this very line item. But for the purpose of this accumulated, unspent, unassessed funds, the committee would have a level of maneuvering to retweak and ensure that we can commit and pull these funds into the school accounts, and also ensure that once resident with you, they will be deployed accordingly with the new designs that we have done.
Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, who hailed President Bola Tinubu for his timely intervention in transforming the nation's education sector, assured that tertiary institutions in the state will be accountable while accessing the fund.
What you are doing now is like helping us, helping our to access what is supposed to have gotten and they were able to access for one reason or the other. I want to thank you for this initiative. And he said it's the first time this kind of committee will be put in place to look for a way to access idle fund that have been provided for in the budget to support the institution, our tertiary institution. And for what I got from that was that for those who appropriated the fund, they have that belief that that fund is needed for the development of our institutions. And if they are unable to access them, definitely it will affect the institution one way or the other.
The governor restated his passion to sustain and improve efforts that promote educational development at all levels and promised adequate cooperation of tertiary institutions in the state towards ensuring a successful assignment.
Conditions, some of them are stringent, which have deprived them one way or the other from accessing those funds. I know by the time you'll be through with the assessment, the report from the field, from various institutions, you'll be able to put a measure in place where some of these stringent conditions can be amended and restructured so that the institution can have access. And I want to assure you that our institutions, they will cooperate with you fully. Even the one they have access, and trust them. If you want to know how they have spent it, they will bring out the books. You will see them.
Very prudent.
In an interview, a member of the committee representing Agogo North-East and North-West Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, Ife Ehindero, said plans have been concluded to ease the process of accessing the funds.
The purpose of the visit is to ensure that the unaccessed funds that is domiciled at the CBN for TET fund for the institutions in Ondo State, which the technical committee is to fast track the access to these funds so that the funds can be put to good use, to help to develop ICT, to help to develop the infrastructure, to help with academic staff training and development, and other things that are supposed to be domiciled or that are supposed to help to improve our tertiary institutions.
The House of Reps Technical Committee on TET Fund is on oversight visit to Ondo State to discuss the unassessed intervention from 2017 to 2023. Wahab Bankole, Osrc News.
President Bola Tinubu has sworn in 8 new federal permanent secretaries who were recently appointed to fill existing and vacant state and regional spaces. One of the permanent secretaries is Olubunmi Olusoya from Ondo State. The swearing-in ceremony was performed before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. President Tinubu congratulated the new permanent secretaries, urged them to use their wealth of experience towards effective service delivery. The Federal Executive Council has directed that the university system be removed expeditiously from the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System (IPPIS) platform. The federal government had earlier approved the initiative. The new directive was part of the resolutions reached at the council meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu in Abuja. According to the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the directive on the separation of the universities from the IPPIS platform was given to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume. This move is expected to address the long-standing issue between the academic staff union of universities and the government. The Council asked the Secretary of the Government of the Federation to expedite the implementation of the Council decision made months ago, separating the universities from the IPPIS platform. The Corporate Affairs Commission has announced its intention to cancel the certificates of incorporation of Bureau de Change, whose licenses were revoked by the Central Bank of Nigeria earlier this year. In a notice on its website, the Corporate Affairs Commission said the certificates would be cancelled within 3 months if the affected companies do not change the names and objects of such companies. The CBN in February revoked the licenses of 4,173 Bureau de Change operators over their failure to meet regulatory guidelines. The Apex Bank, in a statement by its Acting Director, Corporate Communications, Sidi Akama, said the regulatory provisions flouted include non-payment of all necessary fees within the stipulated period. The CBN has since released fresh regulations and guidelines for bureau de change operations in Nigeria, which included new categorizations with different capital bases. The Court of Justice of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has found the federal government guilty of violating the fundamental human rights of youths that participated in the October 2020 NSAS protest. The court, in a unanimous decision by a three-man panel, held that there was merit in a suit that the three participants in the protest, Obianuju Catherine Ude, Perpetual Kamsi, and Dabra Oluwa Adeyinka, lodged before it. Specifically, the court held that the Federal Republic of Nigeria, through its security agencies, violated African charters on human rights. The regional court, in its lead judgment that was delivered by Justice Koroma Mohammed Sengo, dismissed the applicant's allegation that their right to life was violated. However, it ordered the federal government to pay each of the applicants the sum of 2 billion naira as compensation for violations of the security of person, prohibition of torture and cruel, inhuman and degrading treatment, rights to freedom of expression, assembly and association, duty to investigate human rights violations, and rights to effective remedy. Outside Nigeria now, 7 people have died and at least another 7 are missing in South Africa's KwaZulu-Natal after the southeastern province was hit by a heavy rain and tornado, local authorities said. Shemwadetola has details.
Whenever a storm hits South African Western Cape province, it's actually families in poor areas who suffer the most. This is Kalisha town. Thunderstorms, strong winds and heavy rains have destroyed thousands of homes across the city.
I don't have anything in the house. My furnitures were broken. I don't have a roof because my roof just blew away and I can't find it. And then now we have to do whatever it is so that we can have a roof over our head. We have nothing.
The bad weather has left a trail of destruction.
It was raining. At first it wasn't bad. Then at night the wind started blowing. I was sleeping. I woke up, there was water everywhere.
Local government officials say more than 4,000 people in Kalisha are homeless.
The primary issue is getting shelter for them. So that is what is going to at least make a situation livable, make a situation better. That's what we need. And the rain is not doing any justice to them.
Other parts of Cape Town experience flooding and power outages. South African weather authorities are warning of multiple cold fronts this week. That means more rains and strong winds in the coming days. Shemwadetola, Osrc News.
Away from South Africa now to France, where in France negotiations are continuing to form a coalition after no party obtained a majority in Sunday's parliamentary election. The newly elected far-right National Rally Member of Parliament arrived at the French Parliament. Tosin Adebowale has details.
Marine Le Pen looked far from defeated when she arrived at France's parliament. A far-right National Rally party didn't win the election as opinion poll had predicted, becoming third behind the left-wing alliance and Emmanuel Macron centrist. But Le Pen says it's just a matter of time.
I'm in a good state of mind, and I'm here with a group of MPs who won the most votes in this election, and we are the single biggest party. Our victory has only been deferred.
The party's president, Jordan Bardella, said the deal made between the centrists were unfair and have only strengthened his party's resolve for a future win.
We will continue to work. I will continue to work to arrive at the next elections, being even more prepared, even more attentive to what the French want, and even more ready to exercise our duties. But we will govern. The wave carrying us is a strong one.
What happens next in Parliament could shape the far-right's future. Support for the far-right has soared under President Macron, Fueled by discontent with his policies, 7 years ago, there were 15 MPs. Now there are almost 10 times that number.
We understand that the French people are disappointed. In terms of purchasing power, security, immigration, there is no response to any of these issues.
Le Pen's party may not have won this election, but is stronger than ever. With a 2027 presidential vote just around the corner, she knows it's not over yet. Tosin Adeboali, Osrc News.
Oren Ziv, a journalist, interviewed 6 Israeli soldiers who described being authorized to open fire on Palestinians indiscriminately. Soldiers from 6 different units who were in Gaza at different times said the executed Palestinians were straight into no-go zones and that there were no limits to what and whom they could shoot.
On 972 magazine, we spoke to 6 soldiers from different units who were serving in different times across the Gaza Strip. What we could learn from them, that the opening firing regulations were not very strict. Some of them didn't even get proper order from their commanders and from higher up. And in general, they told us, they testified that there were no limits. They could fire almost at everything. And we're talking on operation from the ground. And even when we're talking about sensitive targets, as they called it, schools, hospitals, public institutions, they said they had to ask for permission, but it was almost a bureaucratic thing and it was always approved. They said that even if we had a very small sense of fear or danger, you could shoot. And some of them even testified they were shooting out of being bored or just for fun, to the sky, to open areas, but also in populated areas. As you mentioned, one of the soldiers testified that there was a red zone around the area the soldiers were positioned inside the Gaza Strip, in between houses and neighborhoods, and everybody, any Palestinian, armed or not armed, who crossed this line, it was allowed to shoot in order to kill. Every man between the age 15 and 50 was considered a fighter, even though if he was in civilian clothes or without weapon, he was considered a fighter or potential fighter, and was allowed to shoot in order to kill. I think the general feeling the soldier described is that there was a big sense after the October 7 attack of revenge, and we heard it also from Israeli officials, from the Prime Minister and senior ministers. And this approach went down to the commanders on the ground and also to the very simple soldiers that just felt they can do anything, a sense of revenge. They told us the statements that there are no people in Gaza, that everyone involved is with Hamas, that everybody celebrated the October 7 attack, and therefore they wanted to punish them. He was trying to avoid that, and he said that that might cause some internal questioning or investigation, but on the very low level of the commanders inside Gaza, it wouldn't go out and higher up. And in general, other soldiers told us that they felt that everything is permitted. So sometimes when things happen, commanders would investigate it, but again, it wouldn't get to a court or to a proper investigation from what I understand. We're positioned, as we know, in Palestinian private houses, and when a specific unit or a group of soldiers decides to move on,
in Gaza, turning them to rubble, and remaining schools serve as shelters for displaced people, leaving around 625,000 children without a place for education. Omoshike Olomode has details.
Israel has bombed nearly every school in Gaza. Classrooms where children sat, hallways where they played, refused to rappel. The few still standing have become shelters for people displaced by the war, living in roughly 625,000 schools-aged children in Gaza with nowhere to go. Teachers at makeshift schools like this says, despite the lack of resources, it's important to preserve what the kind of Gaza's education system.
In the past, we used to have good classes, good tools, instruments, whatever. But nowadays, it's very hard because there's no safe place, there's no safe time at the Gaza Strip. So yes, we have faced so many difficulties, but we have to complete because it's their right to complete their education.
These classes are part of an initiative to create an environment of learning to repair the rifts the war has caused in children's education. But the greatest challenge may be trying to repair a sheltered sense of safety. The youngest are the hardest hit. Teachers and parents say these schools are a sanctuary.
The children are very excited and attached to their teacher. They get up early to come to class. They get used to using pens and notebooks. Their hands are getting stronger after not writing for 9 months. They're keen to read and ask questions. Our children have lost food, water, education, security, mothers, fathers and siblings during these months of war.
In the middle of war, in the dangerous place, children still want to learn because ignorance is darkness, they say, and knowledge is light. Omosheke Olubode, Osrc News.
At least $43 billion worth of military aid within the next year to help boost the defenses against Russian attacks. The pledge was made at the Military Alliance's annual summit, which is taking place in Washington, D.C. NATO also expressed concern about China's support for Russia. Beijing responded by accusing the organization of provocations, lies and smears. Shimwadetola has details.
NATO leaders are welcomed at the White House for the official dinner marking an end to day one. This preceded by the first in-person meeting between President Biden and the newly elected Prime Minister of Britain, Keir Starmer.
We had a long conversation on the phone when you won. Give me your hand there, pal. And we're the best of allies maybe in the whole world.
The media was asking about the president's health and whether he would step down from the campaign. George Clooney added his voice to those calling on President Biden to step down. And there was a lot of private discussions among NATO members as to who will run the US government after the November election.
If there's one thing that I'm concerned about with the United States is the polarization of the political climate. It is, I have to admit, very toxic.
Aside from the health of the US president, Ukraine was the main topic of discussion. Members pledging to supply an array of air defense systems and F-16 jets.
The F-16s are on their way. The transfer is happening as we speak. They'll be flying in the skies of Ukraine this summer.
In his opening address, President Biden said the entire alliance faces a threat from Russia and its allies.
Right now, Russia is on a wartime footing with regard to defense production. They're significantly ramping up their production of weapons, munitions, and vehicles. And they're doing it with the help of China, North Korea, and Iran. We cannot, in my view, we cannot allow the alliance to fall behind.
It was a forum for members to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the alliance in the very city where its first meeting took place. Shimwadetola, Osrc News.
And that's a wrap on World at Noon. Good afternoon and thanks for watching.